So it seems like to be able to implement their bigger government agenda, they have to undermine you every step of the way.
They need that problem to exist so that they have justification for their Agenda 21 bait-and-switch program.
And so that's what I say. I say the federal government loves the American Land Council because they what do? They keep it in the legislative arena. They keep it in the judicial arena. They like that because they know they'll never lose. They'll just keep stretching it out. They stretch it out for 30 years. They'll stretch it out for another 30 years.
It's a Thought Police free zone. The Liberty Lineup radio show, where independent thought just can't be bought.
I'm an American. Red, white, and blue. And I'm a citizen of this world and of heaven. Some things were meant to be together. I believe in faith and freedom. Got a country too. I believe with faith and freedom. We're gonna make it through.
Welcome back to the second hour of the Thursday segment of the Liberty Lineup, the Naked Truth, where we think right and wrong, not right and left. This is Ben McClintock and Enoch Moore of defendingutah.org. And in this hour, we'll be talking with Lavoy Finicum, give us an update of what's going on up in Oregon, because there's some developing news that a lot of us probably haven't heard about, and it's going to be really hot.
We gotta stay strong, 'cause everything's on the line. We gotta rise up, we gotta stay strong, to save our way of life. I believe in faith and freedom.
Really appreciate you, everybody, joining us today, and we'd like to thank our show sponsor, EOS Mobile, the only cell phone service that gives you the peace of mind that your monthly bills are supporting the only conservative candidates and causes. Sign up by calling 877-367-7524. Be among the first 10 callers, so 10 callers during this show today, and you'll get a special offer if you mention the Liberty Lineup radio show. Call now, 877-367-7524. That's 877-367-7524. Again, 877-367-7524. For more information, go to eoscell.com, EOSCELL.com. Want to let everybody know that there's a lot of different ways that you can listen in and get kept up to date of what we're doing and who we're having on the show and the different hosts. You can listen to the Liberty Lineup from anywhere online by downloading the K-Talk app on your smartphone, or at k-talk.com, where you'll find our calendar of events and chat room. You can also like K-Talk's Facebook page as K-Talk Utah, and post photos at Instagram at K-Talk Radio, and tweet our handle at KTKK. Help us spread liberty around the world. You can also get our Liberty Lineup on Facebook. Just go to the Liberty Lineup Radio Show on Facebook and make sure and like that. And like the individual hosts, ours is Defending Utah, and you can check that out. We've got our Facebook page and get up to date on the things that we're working on. And today, again, we're talking to Lavoy Finicum. He's one of the real ringleaders, I guess you want to say, of what's going on up there in Oregon. We want to let everybody know what's going on because you're not hearing the truth on the media, whether you're on the side of the Hammonds or you're on the side of Lavoy and Ammon, or you're on both sides, or whatever it is, you're not being told the truth. If you're getting your info from Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, or even, heaven forbid, KSL.
So we're going straight to the source. That's why we're having these guests on.
Exactly.
So we can just hear what it is. So if you want to make honest judgments, whatever that judgment may end up being, at least you'll have some real data, some real eyewitness accounts, so you can make an opinion based on real information.
Exactly. Lavoy, want to make sure. We got you, Lavoy?
I'm here. Maybe you could help me know who all is in the room over there? Is Sherilyn there?
Sherilyn's not here. This is Ben McClintock and Enoch Moore, the host of the Thursday show, The Naked Truth.
Okay. Enoch Moore, and who is the first name there?
I'm Ben McClintock.
And I'm
Ben
Enoch.
McClintock.
I'm Enoch Moore, and we do the Thursday show, and we do defendingutah.org, the website.
Okay. All right.
Thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate. I know you've got a lot of different folks trying to reach out at you and try and get you to, and I really appreciate you helping our listeners know the truth about what's going on. So thank you.
You bet. And to let you know, I probably only have about 30 minutes where I'm going to have to roll again.
Okay.
I apologize about that.
You're
but
okay.
I do appreciate the opportunity to try to give an inside look at what we're doing. And so I'll let you take the lead. What are the concerns you're hearing? What's the picture that's being painted? And so ask the questions you think are most pertinent.
Okay. Well, let's give everybody an update of things, because I think everybody's kind of got an idea of a little bit of what's going on, but let's get some updates that maybe people haven't heard before.
Okay. Well, what we're doing, we're working very hard. What we're not doing, we're not occupying these buildings and with a list of demands. We're asking for the federal government and stamping our feet, and we're not going to leave until you give us what we want.
You'd probably be in jail right now if that's what you were doing.
Right. In fact, we're not interfacing at all with the federal government. We're interfacing. All our efforts, all our work has been here with the local individual ranchers, the local people here. We go from one community to another community, to one rancher to another rancher, and we're helping them to understand what their rights are. And as they begin to understand this, we spend 50% of all our time, waking time, probably in the process of teaching. And so we're teaching hundreds of lessons, as you want to say. It seems like a day, or to hundreds of people a day, put it that way. And so we're preparing the people of Harney County to stand up for their constitutional freedoms, to reclaim the land and the resources of the land, that they might once again be prosperous. Because as we let people know, that Harney County was the jewel of Oregon at one time. It was the wealthiest county in the state. And now, because the federal government has come in, seized off the land and the resources, they now are the poorest county. And the ranchers that have been put out, the ranchers that are being squeezed. So we're here to unwind and stop that federal interaction, not just the overreach. We're here to drive the federal government back to the confines of the law here in Harney County, that those who will stand up and throw that off.
I think that's an important point, is that we need to make over and over again, is that the federal government is the organization that's being lawless. And so your efforts to try and bring them back into the law, being the Constitution, is what's going on.
Right. And see, and first thing I always try to put out, because the media always gets to say the anti-government people. So I go up to the press conference and say, I don't say it this way, but you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. We need government. I don't say it that way. I'm more tactful. I say, I want you to know that I believe in government. We need government. I believe in the federal government. We need the federal government to do those things at a federal level, to keep our borders safe, to secure our borders, to keep our country safe from outside nations, and just a few other narrowly defined things. And so we need that federal government. So don't call me anti-government.
There's no one more pro-government than those who are advocating to follow the Constitution. That is the most pro-government you can get, right?
Absolutely. Then we believe in the state government and leave the federal government to handle things at the federal level. But the states need to handle those things at the state and the county at the county. And so that way the government gets closest to the people. That is a Republican form of government.
Right.
And so what has happened is that the states are supposed to interpose or intercede between the federal government and its citizens when that federal government begins to reach outside the bounds of the law. But what has happened, our states have failed to do that. They have failed to check the federal government in this. And so then it devolves upon the county commissioners, supervisors, and the last line of defense, the last one governmental line of defense, is that county sheriff. And if the county and the county sheriff will not interpose between its citizens and the state or the federal government, then there is no recourse left for the citizens themselves to protect their life, their liberty and property. And that's what happened to the Hammonds, is that the Hammonds, that is the issue that lit this fuse, is that they were were completely abused, and unrightfully so. And so all our efforts, Ammon Bundy went through months of trying to get redress, of just a hearing of these grievances, just re-examine, look at these things. And at every turn, he was rebuffed. Not even a call. He turned in thousands upon thousands of signatures petitioning them to please look at these issues. Just look at them before you throw them in prison, because there's a clear abuse of power. There's something that's terribly wrong. And when they no longer, after all this line, all of this effort was completely ignored at every level and every turn, well, then what is the people to do? What is left?
And in support of that, we're going to publish something on our website, defendingutah.org, on the crimes of the Bureau of Land Management to show the background on showing this lawless behavior and the things that they've been doing to kind of support, what also has happened to the Hammonds there. And you also talked about the sheriff, the sheriff is their last line of defense, and if the sheriff doesn't do what's right. But is this true now? These are things that we've heard as far as the sheriff. Not only did he not stand up for them, but he actually aided the FBI and the federal government.
Yes,
is that true?
It appears that he, for whatever reason, that he is sided with the federal government. He is aiding and abetting in compliance with them. He stands with them, and I believe he's very conflicted. I don't know him personally. I know Ammon has talked with him, worked with him at length, and all he did was created a space and a time without acting that allowed the federal government to come in and throw the Hammonds in prison without giving that space and time for this evidentiary hearing to be held. This was a legal filing that they are required by law to respond to, which they did not.
So is the sheriff there representing the views of his constituents? Are the constituents split? Are they more on your guys' side? What's going on with that?
They're split. You have Burns, which is most of the employees of this refuge live in Burns, and so now their livelihood is all disrupted. And so you have probably a good third in the town of Burns, which is closest, about 2,800 people. Very hard against this. You probably have about a third that are probably in agreement that the tactics we kind of understand, but your tactics are wrong. And then we have probably about a third that are behind us. Mm-hmm. But when you get out into the rural communities, it kind of goes this way. Most of them say, man, we really agree with everything you're doing. Only a very small percentage disagrees with what we're doing. And another percentage is very small, says we agree, but we disagree with the tactics. But a huge amount says, we agree very much, but we don't believe you can do this. We believe that if we stand up and try to support, that you will fail and it will be worse for us. And what came to Hammonds will come to us double. And so that is the biggest challenge that the people have, is that they believe, or they do not yet have confidence that we will see this thing through. And that if they rise up, and there are some that are, we're having a great signing ceremony this Saturday. It's a big deal where a local rancher here is coming in front of all national media and signing a declaration of emancipation from the all BLM and Forest Service contract. And we have a rancher all the way from New Mexico that's coming in to do the same thing. And so now and we have ranchers down in Utah that are forming their own organization to do the same thing. So it's catching fire. And unfortunately, that puts more heat upon the feds, because right now they really know what's happening, and they are at risk of losing control of this empire that they have. And so
something that we've been trying to warn people about is there's some wolves in sheep's clothing that are trying to hijack this. In Utah, we've got a...
we'll probably have to talk about that after the break.
We'll talk about that right after the break. And this is Ben McClintock with Enoch Moore. This is the Liberty Lineup Show, talking with Lavoy Finicum on 630 k-talk.com. We'll be right back after the break talking about what's going on up in Oregon. This is Ben McClintock and my co-host
Enoch Moore.
with defendingutah.org. We're back on K-Talk Radio, AM 630, k-talk.com. The Liberty Lineup Naked Truth segment where we think right and wrong, not right and left. Sponsored by EOS Mobile, the cell phone service for conservatives. And we are talking with Lavoy Finicum about the situation up in Oregon. And something that we've been talking about at defendingutah.org is about Representative Ken Ivory, who's going around and trying to undermine the efforts up there, trying to get us more involved with the federal government. We've done a lot of reports showing that Ken Ivory's bills are just a bait and switch, that they sell themselves as trying to get our lands back from the feds, but what they really are is an effort to give more control to unelected bureaucracies or regional bureaucracy, and also give most of the funds over to the federal government. I don't know if you've had any issues with Ken Lavoy, but that's something that we've been working on a lot at defendingutah.org.
It's very important that the people understand exactly what you're talking about. Individually, I don't know him nor those that really support him. Actually, I know one, and those that I know seem to be men of honor and integrity, I believe, but there is this clear divide in our stance, and one is not compatible with the other, and I believe one is principally based and constitutionally based, and the other one is false and flawed. And the American Land Council is that. The good people that work there to try to move this issue forward, it is good, but they have been fighting this fight. The Sagebrush Rebellion started about 35 years ago, and they're asking for more of the same. They come from the premises that the federal government, under the property clause, does indeed have right to own and control property, but they're supposed to dispose of it back to us. And so now they're going like to the kid to the playground schoolyard bully and saying, you know, you're supposed to give me my milk money, and would you please give it to me?
Right.
And it will never, ever happen. It is insane to think that after 30 years, 35 years of asking the same thing, that all of a sudden the federal government is going to have a change of heart and dispose of these lands to the citizens and to the state. It will not happen.
Right.
I promise you. It's gone to the Supreme Court. They ruled that they have exclusive legislative power whatsoever over one-third of this land mass. And so for us to politically go up and say, go into their courts, go into their playground, go into their system and say, please give us back our lunch money, it will never, ever happen. It will not. And to think that it will, if we vote the right person in, we get the right piece of legislation, it's kind of like saying, we need to vote whether murder should be outlawed.
Right,
No,
right.
Murder is already outlawed. It's already in the Constitution that the federal government may not have these lands.
Right.
That was the intent and the spirit of that document. And then also in the letter, in the body, both the 9th Amendment, 10th Amendment, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17, that would be to death, plus also the guarantee that every state shall have a Republican form of government. So replete throughout that body, throughout that contract that we set up between us and the central government, they're in violation of, and they have shown that they will not be checked by that document or by any other state.
And Ken Ivory and the American Lands Council knows about those court decisions, about the Constitution. So what they're doing is on purpose, and it's a distraction. They're trying to hurt your cause. I see them going around trying to diminish what you're doing and trying to get people not to be involved.
Well, let me go specifics. Let's go to specifics. Paiute County and Wayne County, they contacted me and said, come and talk to us. And so I came and talked, and he said, bring the people that says that they'll stand beside you and support you physically. So I brought them too, or they actually invited them on their own. And so we were all there in that meeting. At the end of the meeting, they said, we need to do this. Let's sign this emancipation of all these contracts. See, that's the crossing the Rubicon, and that's where you cross the river. It's when you sever those officially, those contractual agreements. And he said, let's do it now. And they were about ready to do it. And Mike Noel and this group found out about this, and they ran up there the next week. Said, no, give us more time. We will get this done. Don't do that. Don't do that. And so it took the steam out of it. And so that could have been the first full county, because they have the sheriffs behind them. That could have been the first full county in the whole union to throw off these federal chains. But it was the politicians that stopped it. and the very ones are saying we're fighting for your liberty, we're fighting for the Constitution. So we need to make this distinction clear. I'm laying it down. I'm laying it clear on the line. There is only one course, and the federal government must be completely removed from this. They must return to the confines of law. They must return to things of a federal nature and leave the states and the counties to govern and handle the things of the states and the counties.
That's huge. I want you to restate that, kind of just encapsulate what you just told us so that they can really sink into our listeners.
Well, let me put it this way. We're sitting here in the largest wildlife refuge in the nation, and they call it the National Wildlife Refuge. And we're holding these beautiful stone buildings right in the middle of nowhere. But we make it very clear to the media. We say this, I say this, these buildings shall never, ever, ever return to the federal government. And let that be known. And so this is their, so to speak, it's symbolic. This is their fortress. This is their castle. This is their domain. This is where they've actually worked out of to help take over 100-plus ranches here and seize off the resources of this county. So this was their place where they functioned from chiefly. So we are now holding symbolically and literally their fortress, and it shall never go back to them.
That's huge. You said you didn't have much time. How much more? Just so we know, look at our clock. We don't want to keep you longer.
I can give you about another 10, maybe 15 minutes if I stretch it. Yeah.
Awesome.
So we got 10 minutes to break, so we'll just go 10 minutes then till the break.
Okay. Great.
And when you're talking about these guys who came and told Paiute County, don't do this yet. If they came from
totally sabotage your efforts.
They totally sabotaged you, and you're saying they came from like the American Lands Council and the whole group that's doing.
This is the one person I know that was there, and he's representative of this same people. So all the people that came, I do not know, but Mike Noel was there.
Right.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so we know from our investigation and research that what they're implementing is actually greater federal control and Agenda 21, and we've documented that in reports we published online and presentations we've given as well. So
it seems like to be able to implement their bigger government agenda, they have to undermine you every step of the way.
Oh yeah, this strikes at this what we're doing right now strikes at the heart
exactly
of this federal holding, and so this is all their attention. They're trying to drive it out of the news media. They're actually working to isolate it very hard. Every rancher, the ranchers were first came at night, so they couldn't be seen, and they started getting brave, and they started coming in the day and stuff. And now the FBI is hitting their homes, calling them, intimidating them, and so they're working hard. We're working hard. They're working hard to isolate us and to marginalize us and to remove us from the issue of the Hammond family, which was the match that lit the injustice that. They said, that's a whole totally different issue, which it is not. It is woven, intertwined to the very core. And so they cannot let this win. They are bound and determined to not let this go unchecked like it did at the Bundy. We're bound and determined that we shall stay and hold the course.
And if you win, the problem is solved. This is the proper solution. This is nullification at the individual level, which is within the right of the people when the sheriff doesn't do it. But if you win and the problem is solved, then everything that they're doing with their regional government and the American Lands Council, they don't need it to do it anymore because the problem's solved. And they need that problem to exist so that they have justification for their Agenda 21 bait and switch program.
Well, I'm not sure how well they're tied in that. That's something that I haven't looked at. But this I do know. I do know that this works, that doesn't work. And when this works, they become irrelevant. Sorry about that. I'm not pulling out the right word. They don't matter anymore.
And they have a financial vested interest in this as well. And so if you actually are able to do it without having to go through all the legal stuff that you've already shown and that they already know is a moot point that's already been decided in the courts. I mean, this idea of suing the federal government in a court that they control and hoping to get a fair outcome is kind of silly. And
right. I do not know where the statistics come from. The Ammon quotes it, so I'm quoting the quoter. He says there has been over 100 of these lawsuits filed in these federal courts over these federal land issues, and he says every one of them have lost.
Right, and they know that. So
yeah. And so they that's what I say. I say the federal government loves the American Land Council.
Yeah.
Because they what do? They keep it in the legislative arena. They keep it in the judicial arena. And what arena? The federal judicial arena. You know, and so they like that because they know they'll never lose. They'll just keep stretching it out. They stretch it out for 30 years. They'll stretch it out for another 30 years. Yeah. And every year, the federal land holdings of the federal government has increased. It continues to increase. We never win. We never have won, and we never shall. Doing doing more of the same.
Right. So one thing that I've seen recently is covered, and I want to get more information on this, is that you guys have been able to kind of go through some of the documents and show some of the abuses that have been going on. Can you tell us about some of the things you've discovered?
Okay, I've only seen just a few things here in my hand that shows me, that raises my eyebrows. You know, things about contracts, about the mineral wealth that is here between larger corporations and the government. Remember what happened to the Dan sisters in 2002 in Nevada, in Ruby Valley. The federal government came in just like they did at Clive and Bundy's with choppers and rangers with guns and helicopters, and rounded up their cows, moved them off because they said they weren't paying their grazing fees. And they said, no, by treaty, we've had this here, we've had continuous beneficial use, and now that they forced them off. Well, what happened after they crushed them and took them off? Oh, they turned it over to a strip mine, you know?
Right.
So, you know, money is always a factor. You know, controlling great wealth is always something that is there in the background. Try to follow the money. So I do know that all the stuff that has already gotten out, we moved it out already to many multiple sources to keep it safe. And they'll never be admissible in a court of law, but except for the court of public opinion. We're seeking to shed the light of day on everything that we touch and what we do. This is, I don't think the world realizes what a platonic shift has just happened. This is a platonic shift in the way things are going to go forward from here.
Platonic, yeah. So, are you noticing that there's a shift in public opinion towards you or away from you, or what are you sensing?
I've actually talking to some of the major reporters, you know, like NBC, CBS, some of those guys and stuff, and so I actually asked them some questions, and I won't mention which one, but they're saying that we're starting to see a shift in the national opinion towards you. It's starting to shift. I'm not sure what you're seeing there. I mean, I'm so busy. I mean, just trying to get a plate to sit down and eat is a challenge. Usually I eat on the run. But I've lost about half a pound a day. Good thing I was talking just a couple extra pounds, not too many extra, but I'm glad I had those few extra. I asked my wife to send up my size smaller jeans. So, but anyway, I don't even know where I was going with that line of thought. But yeah, it's busy.
We're just talking about the court of public opinion.
Oh, yes. Yeah, and so what we're going to do, we're going to set the light of day on that, to show the whole world what this is, and that, you know, there's great wealth. For example, on my ranch, the greatest uranium wealth in the world is found right there in the highest uranium ore in the world, and most economically friendly way to mine. It's breccia pipes down into small mines. You only disturb a small amount of the land as you open up the mine that goes down in. And then when you're done, you mine this high-grade uranium out, you cover it up, don't even know you're there. And with a stroke of pen, Ken Salazar shut that off. So great wealth is in these lands, and they're seizing them and holding them off, whether it's lumber, you know, whether it's mineral, whether it's mining, whether it's ranching, whether it's farming, whether it's water. They know this. They know what wealth is. See, the government really knows what really wealth is. They know that the dollar is only a value as long as we have confidence in it. The real wealth is those things that produce, that create, that you touch, you kick, you hold.
That's right.
You know, and so they are getting control of these vast amounts of real wealth.
And they have their own long-term vision on who's the federal government's favorite partner to take that wealth in the long term. And ultimately, just like you said in Ruby Valley, right after it was gone, they gave it to someone to take
big
the
mining
wealth.
company.
Yep.
It was a huge mining company, and so this is why our founding fathers said we must limit the power of a central government, because once the central government becomes entwined down in there, there's no way that you can untwine that at a local level. I mean, for example, the person who oversees this, the manager over this whole refuge here, was appointed by a person who's 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 elected by a person who's appointed who's the president. And you think that they have any fear of any recourse here? Absolutely not. They are able to work and work with impunity, and that doesn't mean that they're not good people here. That doesn't mean that they don't have altruistic opinions. But when you have a system where the power is centralized, where you cannot have recourse against them under the power of recall or the power of the vote, then you no longer have a representative form of government.
Right.
And so, there's a movie that I like. It's too violent, so I don't recommend it to anybody. But I found it very inspiring in the principles of it. It's called The Gladiator, and in that, Commodus is the emperor, and he gets angry at the Senate, and he's talking to his sister. He says, "I'm going to disband the Senate," and she says, "Oh, brother," says, "let the people have their illusions," and that's what we have. We have an illusion of a republic. We do not have a republic.
Absolutely. So we understand that you've got to get going, and we're headed off to a break in a second. But we wanted to let you just real quick let everybody know what do our listeners that are liking what you have to say, what can they do the most to help you?
The very, very most important thing that they can do is pray. The only way that we pull this off is with the hand of divine providence. I have seen too many things that have come together that have caused me to kneel down and to give thanks to God that for yet another day we stand. And were it not for that blessing, this blessing, that we would not. Make no mistake about who we're dealing with. This is the federal government. They are the greatest force probably in the history of the world.
Yep.
in actual physical power.
Absolutely.
And this is who we are facing off. And if it be not for the help of a kind and gracious God, we shall never carry the day. And so the single most important thing that people can do is pray for us, and then to stand up and to act in their own realm, in their own sphere, for the natural rights of man. Wherein is it do we think we are free when we're forced under the threat of confiscation of our property and imprisonment if we do not pay our taxes, and then this money is taken and given to a private organization that form abortions, and we will get up and give thanks.
I don't mean to cut you off. I really apologize, but we've got to head off. This is Ben McClintock and Enoch Moore of Defending Utah, and we've been speaking with Lavoy Finicum, and really appreciate your time, Lavoy. We'll be right back after the break. This is Ben McClintock
and Enoch Moore
from defendingutah.org. We are on K-Talk Radio, AM 630, K-Talk.com, the Liberty Lineup Radio Show, the Naked Truth segment where we think right and wrong, not right and left, sponsored by EOS Mobile, the cell phone service for conservatives. And we were just talking with Lavoy Finicum. He had to take off. He's got a lot of different things he's taking care of.
He's doing some very important work, it sounds like.
But we've got some. We'll have the interview where he said that the American Lands Council was the biggest friend of the federal government, and that'll be available on the Defending Utah YouTube channel, and we'll be posting that on our Facebook page at Liberty Lineup, as well as our Facebook page, and so you can listen to the entire interview later on in the day. But we want to make sure that to get in some of the other details. There are a lot of things coming out. There's a video that just was released that showed the federal government, a representative from the federal government, admitting that they get land and they basically steal it from people, where they're damaging land on purpose. We've got some callers. We've got
before we take the callers. So on what you were just saying. So we have the videos. The BLM has been admitting that, and we have a video we're going to put up on defendingutah.org in the next day or so. We have actual footage in Harney County there of the BLM lighting fires on purpose out of season of the prescribed burn season, and they're 100 feet from cattle and houses, and they're lighting it on purpose, and the farmers are trying to protect their land, getting threatened with arrest. It's the BLM is it's
unconstitutional. It's illegal.
It's unconstitutional in the first place, but it's completely criminal the way they are aggressively stealing land, using tactics. First they'll come and just try to buy out a rancher.
The criminal organization is acting criminally?
What? that doesn't make sense. And so the entire operation is about farmer won't sell. You do whatever it takes to make it economically infeasible for them to operate, and then they take the land, and then it's cronyism from there. They give the land to whatever their agenda desires, which international corporations, whatever that ends up being for that specific land.
Yep. So let's go to our callers. We've got Chris. He's from FEMA District 8. I'll have to look up what that...
FEMA District 8, Chris.
Chris, you're on the line. You're on the air.
Calling in. Just want to give a shout-out to the NSA. Hi, guys. Keep up the terrible work. But, yeah, somebody ought to make a movie about this. Maybe people will learn the truth. They're always willing to go out on the weekends and watch a movie. There's a lot of drama involved here. But, I've always wondered, people who are fleeing great concentrations of power in few hands, their solution is to concentrate even greater power into fewer hands, i.e. the federal government. I've never understood that. It seems counterintuitive. And they think just because they're called the federal government that they have our interests at heart, which is not true. It's the greatest magnet for criminal operatives in the world. United States, well, that and every other government in the world. But I'd like to relay some things that I discussed with Mr. Ken Ivory on the telephone the other day on this very radio station. And we were talking about...
Ken Ivory was on the station?
It was on this station, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was on K-Talk.
Gotcha.
And we were talking about the American Lands Council and his efforts to try to get his day in court, which I guarantee you will never happen. Yep. That's their favorite trick. Yeah, come on, we'll litigate this case, and then a year later, we'll litigate this case, and then that's their tactic.
It's a great money-leeching scheme, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, especially if you're a lawyer getting paid by the hour or a prosecutor.
Millions going to lawyers.
Oh, yeah.
Hey,
it's good work if you can get it. So I talked to him about that. I told him that it was just a stalling tactic, and he'll never see his day in court. But then I said, if somebody stole your bicycle, and you knew who stole it, and you went by his house, and there you saw it in his driveway, would you go knock on the door and politely ask him if you could take your bicycle back, or would you take it to court, or would you simply jump on the bicycle and ride home and be a lot more careful about where you put it next time? And, of course, he couldn't answer that, and he talked about, there are legal channels and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what?
Sorry, that's just crazy.
The Constitution, which I believe is God-inspired, most people do, in and outside of the Mormon Church, he has given the Constitution. That is the rule book. That is the final authority on every decision that the federal government makes. So when I asked him, said, according to the Constitution, the federal government is in complete and total violation. Can't we just assert our God-given constitutional rights and just do what is right and just make a simple proclamation stating a pre-existing fact that those lands are and ought to be ours and just exercise our prerogative on them?
Yep.
And then he couldn't answer that. And then I said, what greater authority do you need than from God, the God the Almighty, the creator of heaven and earth? And, of course, he couldn't answer that either. So that's my statement. And I know it takes courage. I know it seems like you are drawing outside of the lines. You know what? So did our founding fathers.
Yeah.
You know who else drew outside of the lines? You know who Lot Smith is? And interject here if I'm a little too long-winded for you. You know who Lot Smith is? He was ordered by Brigham Young in 1857 here in the Utah Territories to go out and burn the U.S. cavalry supply chain on the high plains of Montana. Have you ever heard of that?
I have, yeah.
So here was the governor of the state of Utah, duly elected. Not only that, he's a prophet of the Lord and acknowledged by the majority of at least half of the people of the state of Utah. And he's telling Lot Smith to do something that I'm sure was against some federal law at that time, burning down a supply train.
Yeah.
Yet it was the right thing to do.
For sure.
That's the thing that we trip over every time. We want permission to do the right thing, and sometimes you're just not going to get it except from divine providence. And I say we just do the right thing. And I applaud Ammon, I applaud Lavoy and the rest of those patriots out there in Harney County. I wish I could be there, guys. And at that, I will let you guys go and bid you adieu.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate your call. Call back anytime.
You're welcome.
So that's an important thing to remember is understanding what the law is. We get so confused. We think just because a bunch of schmucks got together and said this is now the rule that we've got to follow it. That's not what the law of the land is. The Constitution is the law of the land.
That would be the law of the land if we were a monarchy. And a lot of other countries, there's a little more reason to listen to just goofy laws if that's what the king said, because it's his nation, and that's just a different type of form of government.
Right.
But that is not our form of government.
We've got no leg to stand on in America.
They're exactly.
When you've got that. So we've got Eagle on the line. Eagle, you're on the line. You're on the air.
Yeah. Your guests have gone. Is that correct?
That's right.
Correct.
I wanted to ask the guests if they were members of the LDS Church, and if they are, how do they get around the idea that the church says to honor and obey and sustain the law?
Well, I think we just kind of answered that for you, what the law actually is.
But I didn't want your answer. I wanted theirs. I don't think they got a leg to stand on, frankly.
Right. I'm sorry, say that again?
I say I don't think they have a leg
gotcha.
to stand on, frankly.
Okay,
but
so ask us, if you make a law, if one person makes a law and then another person makes a law and they both conflict each other, which one is the real law?
You got me.
Okay, well, so if there's one law that's the Constitution, and then there are other laws that are just random bureaucratic writings, and the Constitution conflicts with those laws, it's the Constitution that is the higher law. That is the law.
That is for a legal eagle to decide, not you and me. And I'll take that back. Maybe you are a lawyer, so I'm not going to argue with you.
Well, I think that it's pretty basic. The government gets its, according to the Declaration of Independence. I appreciate your call, Eagle. Says that government gets its power from the consent of the governed.
Right. So anything that they do, it's because they were given that power from
the people.
The people.
And so the Constitution was written for any moron to understand. Really, it's basic, clear language that says, "Here's your delegated power." And then just to make sure you didn't understand that, the 10th Amendment says that we didn't give you the authority to do that, you don't have the authority to do that. That's the law of the land. That's the law of the land.
It is the law. Absolutely.
You don't have to be a legal eagle to understand this stuff. Otherwise, whatever a judge says, then now all of a sudden the judge becomes the tyrant, and we're a nation of laws, not a nation of men.
And the law actually says the power does reside. So the 10th Amendment says if we didn't give the power to the federal government, and it belongs to the states or the people if the states aren't kind of doing anything about it.
Exactly. This is really heating up the lines. We got Randy. You're on the air. Randy.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
Now you're on the air.
Yeah, I find it interesting that you just countermanded the LDS church leadership who told these guys they were out of order. You're just saying that the Constitution is the law of the land, and I think these gentlemen that lead the Mormon church would know that the Constitution was the thing here, but they're telling these guys what they're doing is wrong. And
well, Randy,
your argument that the Constitution rules over this, you're not the judge, you're not the Supreme Court, and neither are they. This needs to be adjudicated rather than
it's already
illegally.
Randy, it's already been adjudicated. This has been discussed to infinity. They've gone through every recourse. The judge said, you pay this fine and you're out of jail. Oh, sorry, that's not right. Then they go to jail. Then they get out of jail, and then all of a sudden now they have to go back to jail again. This has been adjudicated. And we're not countermanding the church.
We agree with the church's statement that the law of the land must be followed, and the PR department's statement that said it was based on news reports, which news reports have largely been determined to be inaccurate. We don't disagree with what they're saying based on what the reports had said, but we've been finding through direct interviews that the reports have actually been incorrect, and we do agree with following the law of the land. Absolutely.
And it's clear what the law of the land is. And if it was left up, we pointed out before, if it was just left up to judges to decide what the law of the land is, it's just totally countermines the whole idea of what our nation was founded upon, that the government gets its powers from the consent of the governed, the people. The government has no power except what they are delegated to by the federal government, what the government is delegated to, by the people.
We've got one more minute. Maybe we can take
Jason,
one more
you're
call.
on the air.
The only reason the church issued a statement was because those deviants at the Washington Post wouldn't go away, so they issued that statement. Now, having said that, a lot of Latter-day Saints are a little cowardly. They are looking for a way out of a fight instead of a way into it, or a cause, or anything that would take them away from their BYU football game.
I think a lot of us would be guilty of that. And I think it's important that it was the statement was actually very well worded, where it said based on reports. Yeah. And so those reports since then have been proven completely false. Right. And so to continue on with that statement is just kind of really, it's intellectually dishonest.
Applying this argument would mean that Zion's camp was illegitimate. I mean, the governor told the Saints to give up their property and leave Missouri. So I guess they weren't justified in defending their homes and their families and their women at all.
And Alexander Donovan, people need to remember him. Alexander Donovan was legally told to kill the prophet Joseph Smith.
Bingo!
It's this ridiculousness of doing whatever you're told because you're just following orders is something that should have been debunked with the Nazi tribunals, the Nuremberg trials.
But we are running out of time now.
And we're out of time, so I appreciate your call. Call back anytime. Special thanks to our show sponsor, EOS Mobile, the cell phone service that supports conservative candidates and causes. Go to EOSCLL.com for more information and mention the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Tomorrow you have the Hollywood Y Guy here from 10 to noon on the Liberty Lineup. This is Ben McClintock
and Enoch Moore
of the Naked Truth from defendingutah.org.